People often do a lot of stretching, but it still doesn't help them with their pain. I'm Liebscher Bracht, and I'm going to show you how you could be 3 times as effective in your stretching in the same span of time if you avoid these 3 mistakes, and you'll also learn a special trick you could use when stretching with no additional effort, making everything much easier. Mistake number 1. Most people don't stretch long enough. I always read through all the instructions, books, and videos on stretching, and often they state the 15 seconds, 20 seconds. In one textbook, I found 30 seconds as recommended. But even there, they stop after 30 seconds. But you need to know that the point of stretching is getting the structure to elongate. That's what stretching is good for. But if the muscles are supposed to become longer, what exactly has to elongate? The muscle. What is the muscle made of? Muscle fibers and fascia. And the most modern research on fascia tells us that this network of fascia that needs to be elongated only starts to flow after a half a minute has passed. And that means it takes more than 30 seconds before you'll have this palpable effect, this change. And that's why we stretch for at least 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes, but often also 2 or 2.5 minutes. The only people who approach stretching differently, maybe due to their experiences over thousands of years where this insight has had time to coalesce, are yoga practitioners. They sometimes stretch for 5 minutes. This for sure is much better, and I'm 100% on board with that. Still, we here have the challenge that the people doing our exercises want to see results quickly and don't have that much time, and devote only 10 to 15 minutes per day to exercising, and that's why we say aim for 2.5 minutes, but not longer, because the efficiency curve flattens out after that point. So if you stretch for 5 minutes, you have a little more effect, but not as much as you'd expect when doubling the time. It's diminishing returns, basically. Mistake number 2. Maybe this mistake happens because those people who stretch are not really happy with the result after 15 to 20 to 30 seconds, and therefore repeat the stretching several times. So eventually it totals up to 2.5 minutes, but in intervals, with breaks in between before they start again. And the problem with this is that what counts is consecutive time. Otherwise, it has no effect. Let me give you an example. 3 times 20 seconds doesn't have the same effect as 1 minute in one go, because you interrupt your stretching. That's mistake number 2. So if you have the time, do the stretching in one go and use it to elongate the structure more and more. That would be optimal. Now, I have to ask you a big favor. This information is so important for people who stretch, so please share this video. That would be a great help. We do so much to educate people, so give us your help. And a thumbs up here would also be greatly appreciated. Let's move on to mistake number 3, the last of the most common mistakes, intensity. How strong should a stretch be? Let me start with those people who don't think about this too much. These people who simply start stretching. And when do they stop their stretch? The moment it starts to hurt, of course. And honestly, I could totally sympathize. Oh boy, this really hurts. Pain is a warning signal, so I better stop now. And that is something we call below the threshold stretching. It has some small effect, but by far not enough if you want to make progress, get rid of pain quickly. So I say deliberately. You have to be aware of the pain, but not afraid of it. Pain starts at a low level, as if it were no pain at all. And then I would recommend to turn up the pain dial just a bit, to where it hurts a bit, and then to a point where it hurts a lot. Now there's a limit. This upper end limit is as important as the lower end. The upper limit from which on it would be excessive stretching. That's the point where you start to feel a pain intensity that makes you counteract. Muscle guard. For example, you clench your fists or hold your breath, or where it's mentally hard to be able to endure the pain. You have to be able to still breathe smoothly, fluently. The part of the body that is not involved in the stretching has to be absolutely relaxed. I always tell my patients, when you stretch, it should bring on the feeling of lying on a beach, relaxing. And the moment you feel the need to tense up, then the stretch is too much. We assign the number 10 to that point as a reference. That's the tipping point. You should not reach or go beyond that 10 on your personal pain scale, but stay under it. Not too much below 10. Let me give you another explanation to make it even easier to understand. The stretching intensity has to be very pronounced, but at a point where it is just bearable without your need to muscle guard or counteract. And if you bear this in mind when you stretch, you'll see much different effects. We haven't done any kind of scientific study or research on this, but from a gut feeling with 35 years of experience under my belt, let me tell you, the effect, if you go for that kind of intensity, will be at least 3 times, maybe even 5, 7, 8 times more effective than if you stop stretching as soon as a little pain sets in. I know that many trainers and teachers in this field tell you to stop stretching as soon as it hurts, so that you don't injure yourself or overburden yourself, yeah? Yeah, because they're afraid of it, all with good intentions, but it leads to below the threshold stretching. And as I always tell my audiences in my pain therapy and courses, if you stretch like that, you might as well use the time and go for a cappuccino, because it's a waste of time. And before we wrap up, the trick I promised, and it goes like this. Whenever you start a stretch and increase its intensity, you should hold still when you breathe in and lean more into the stretch when you breathe out. Because whenever you exhale, your brain switches to relaxation, and that makes it easier for you to increase the stretch than if you do that independently of your breathing. If all of this is obvious to you and you want to take a different look at stretching and be able to follow my instruction to the letter and need guided exercises that work on your body from the top of your head to your heel bone, go and check out our premium channel. It has an excellent selection of videos sorted according to the type of exercises. Go and click up there, have fun with it, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet and you want to see and hear our videos regularly, then click over there. Thanks for joining us and see you soon.